All right, that's time. Did all y'all start these before you got in here? No? Okay, so did everybody finish these within a minute? Yes? Okay. We'll go ahead and go over these. And what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to y'all about the best method to attack these, because most of these are easy and y'all know how to do these. It's just doing it the quickest way. So on this one, what were the three methods he talked about? Math skills, back solve, plug in. Okay, which method did y'all use on this one? Plugged in numbers?
I did
math skills. Okay, those are the two options. Now let's talk about which one's quickest. Okay, the only time you want to plug in numbers is if you do not know how to do the problem. Okay, because it takes you a while to plug in each one, and the answer actually you can't plug in, and we'll talk about that. So again, the only reason you want to plug in numbers is if you don't know how to do it in the first place. But do we know how to do this one? Hopefully so. What's the first step on this one? Distribute what? So it'd be x plus 6 equals. We don't distribute the 2 to the negative x? Good. What's next? Okay. Combine like terms, which means these aren't like terms because one's a letter, one's a number. But on this side we can combine. Good. 2x minus x. All right, we could actually stop there because these are what? The same exact thing. So if we have the same exact thing, such as like 2 equals 2 or x plus 6 equals x plus 6, what's the answer going to be? Very good. What if it was like 2 equals 0? No solution. Everybody good? Gotcha. So on this one, probably the quickest way is to just use your math skills to solve it, because when you're plugging in, you know you can't plug in A and E, right? Y'all have questions about this one? And these are yours to keep, so feel free to write any notes down. All right, number 2. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. This is in my room, so you can do whatever you want to. Okay. Next one, given f of x, and they give you a function. What are the real values of t for which f of t equals t? Did y'all do math skills, plug in, or back solve?
I plugged in.
Anybody?
I didn't know what to do.
Okay, so she didn't know how to solve it, so she's plugging numbers in.
I only plugged in A and B, and then I realized that the 2 had to be negative in order for it to work, and then only one of those negative 2 was C.
Well, I think so because I knew negative ones wouldn't work because we'll just make it undefined.
Good. Say that again.
Well, negative ones would make it undefined.
Why?
Because you can't put anything over 0.
Very good. Y'all get what she's saying? So if you plug in negative 1 here, give you negative 1 plus 1, which is 0. We can't divide by 0. So you could go ahead and mark out these two that have negative 1. And then from there you could plug in, because that only gives you 3 options, right? Remember when he said when you're plugging in, you always want to start with the what? Middle. Good. But here is how you do it by hand, in case you wanted to know. So I would write down both ways. F of t equals t. Do y'all know what f of t is the same thing as? Y. Let me write this over here. And t is just a letter, right? So couldn't I replace that with x if I wanted to? So let me write f of x equals x. You're welcome. The reason I want to do that is because our function they give us is f of x. One more time, f of x is the same thing as what? And if these are equal, it means they're the same exact thing, right? So instead of writing y equals x, I could just write x equals x if they're the same. Correct? Let's use that here. So what did I replace f of x with here? What did I replace it with? Good. So I'm going to replace this with x because they're the same. So I can write x equals 2 over x plus 1. And now how do I solve for x here? Plug in what now? Yeah, we could have done that here. How could I solve for x if I didn't have these multiple choice here? Question, do they have short answer questions on the ACT? All of them are multiple choice? There's
Some
some.
of them are the justification.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing this, because if this is a justification question, meaning you wouldn't have any of these, right? So that's why I'm teaching you how to do it by hand also. So if we're solving for x, we don't have multiple choice, what will we do here? Good, to get rid of the x in the denominator. What is x plus 1 times x? X squared plus 1.
Plus x.
Good. On this side, the x plus 1's do what? We'll have, how can we solve for x here? Subtract 2, and then do what? Factor. How would we factor this one?
Easy.
Good. So what are factors of negative 2 that add to be 1?
Negative 2 and 1.
Negative 1 and positive 2. Have y'all covered factoring in y'all's classes? So y'all know that 2 times negative 1 give you negative 2, negative 1 plus 2 gives you 1. Then when I solve, I'd get x equals and x equals. That's our answer. So if this were a multiple choice question, which way would be the fastest way to find your answer? Plug in. But if it's not multiple choice, now you know how to do it. So just the only thing you need to remember is that f of t or f of x, that's the same thing as your y value. Questions on that one? Sweet. All right, number 3. What's the question stem?
The area of, well, how many meters?
Good. Okay, so we're looking for the width of the rectangle. Okay. Well, they give us the area. How does that help us?
We just divide the 300.
How?
Because the area is length times.
Very good. Did y'all know that rectangle is length times width? Okay, so they give us the area is 300. That means I can replace what with 300? All right, we don't know the width, obviously. That's what we're trying to solve for. What do we know about the length?
It's 3 times.
Good, the length is 3 times the width. So what could I put in for W? Or excuse me, for L? Yes, and why would I want to do that? Why didn't I just leave it as L?
Because you just combine the.
Yes, like if I had L and W, like LW equals 300, could I solve for W? No, because there's how many letters? 2. But just like he said, they give me in the problem that the length is 3W, that's why I have to plug it in, so I'll have how many variables? 1. Because I can do what with these two?
Combine.
By multiplying, right? So 300 equals? Good. Now I can solve for W. By doing what? Good. I'd get what on this side then?
100.
Good. But I know where you're getting that from. And on this side I'd have W squared, so W has to be, very good. So on this one we had to use what method? Math skills, then what? Yeah, that's math skills. Yeah, we had to use math skills. Very good.
I feel like we solved for length. And on the top it's after width, and it says width is 3 times the width. Length is 6 times the width.
Yes. So when it said length is 3 times the width, we plugged in 3W for length. That's 3 times the width. Because we're still trying to solve for the width. We don't know how much it is. Did anybody do it a different way? Did you do it a different way?
Wait, I get what you're saying. Because it's asking for width, not length. It says how many meters wide is the rectangle.
Yes.
So.
So we're solving for...
Never mind. Never. Okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking because it said wide and length was what was 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Wait, no. Because it says wide, so you would think wouldn't it 30 feet?
You would think that it would be 30, but remember you have to take the square root of it.
The length would be 30. And that would make sense in what they give us when they say the length is 3 times the width.
Yeah.
then 30 times 10 equals 300. Does that make sense? So it checks out. All right, next one. This is the question stem. This for what value of j is the value of k equal to 40? We know anytime they give you a formula, you have to use it. Anytime they give you a formula, we're going to have to use it to solve. What method are we going to use on this? Okay, so you just like plugged in what? 40 for k and just solve the equation. We could also do once we plug in 40 for k.
Can we just plug in?
Yeah, you could just plug in. Right? You could just plug in numbers for j. Which one's going to be quicker? Nope. Solving. Right? Because this is just a two-step equation. It's not going to take you long to solve this, but if you were to plug all these in and it's dealing with fractions, that's going to take a while, right? All right, so how would I solve this one? And that would give you what on this side? Equals 7 over 5j. Now how would I solve for j? Good. So multiply by the. Or I could do what to solve for j? Divide by 7 over 5. Which one probably easier? Multiply. Reciprocal means I'm going to flip these. And why do I multiply by the reciprocal? Good. They don't cancel, but they multiply to give us. Yeah. When you say cancel, that means like it makes people think that the whole thing just goes away. When you multiply them, they actually give you 1, so it's 1j. But I get what you're saying. And then on this side, when I multiply 5 over 7 times negative 14, that would give me?
Negative 10.
Very good.
Well, I simplify yes.
Well, you can simplify it to
Simplify it after.
It'd actually be easier just to type this in your calculator. 5 over 7 times negative 14 instead of trying to do it by hand.
Well, I just
Casio.
Yeah, I know.
So I just did
Well,
it
I
by
just
hand.
like I put the negative 14 over 1 and then the 7 and the negative 14
And then,
will simplify.
gotcha. Anybody do it a different way? Want to share? No, I'm so quiet. Any questions? Did anybody get all of them right? Sweet. Okay, there's 4 on the back, and I will give you 4 minutes starting now. No, 3 on the back, so 3 minutes starting now. Got 1 minute left. Alright, that's time. Who finished this one? All three? Alright, most people wouldn't because of which problem? This number 5, because it's got all of this information. So when it's got a bunch of information, you want to look for the question stem. Well, what's the question stem on this one? Yeah, here's the question stem. Does this help us? Like if you read this, you didn't read anything else, and you read, yeah, and if you read this, which of the following could not have been the number of points he scored on the final exam, that wouldn't help us, right? So this one you have to go back and look. But the one thing you don't have to look at is this, because you know what an A, B, C, D, whatever is, right? F. Some of y'all hopefully don't know what these are, but now let's read at the top. It says that he has a math class. He's had 4 unit exams, each worth 100 points, and the final exam is worth 200. That's important. I'm going to read it again. The 4 exams he took are 100 points each, but the final is worth 200. So the final is really what? Say it again? 2 test grades. Right? Because it's really worth 200 when these are worth 100. So the final, I'm going to write that down, is 2 tests. Really. Which explains why these scores right here are over 100 points. But this is only talking about the final exam. That's why they're over 100. So here's his 4 test grades, his scores. It says when course grades were posted, Hugo's course grade was listed as a B. Well, how do you find the average? Like, how would I find his average score? That number, right? Okay, well, how many tests did he have again? Plus the final exam, so how many? 6, because the final was 2. So he took 4, plus he's got these 2, so we know we're going to divide something by 6. What are we going to divide by 6? What does the 6 represent? Okay, so what's going to go on top? The scores, right? Go ahead and add these together for me. So 82 plus 88 plus 91 plus 83, that's going to give us what? Good. So those are his 4 test grades. Do we know what he made on his final exam? No, that's what we're trying to find. So what do we put up here? Not just X. The X was right, but what are we doing up here? Adding. We don't have to do 2X. That was a good question. Why don't we have to double this test score? Yes, because these are already doubled for us. Does that make sense? So we don't have to multiply this by 2. Does that make sense? Okay. And what does this have to be equal to? What do we want it to be? A B, which is between what? Good. And let's read the question stem again. We're looking for the score that could, what? Could what? Not give us a B, right? Alright, so we use math skills to come up with this formula. What do we do next? Good. Where should we start at?
The middle.
So H. Go ahead and plug in 166. So 344 plus 166, then divide it by 6. And then somebody tell me what they got. 85. So is that a B? Yes. Is that our answer? No. Alright, so let's think about this. What would be a good choice to plug in next? F or K? Why? Somebody tell me why that would be a good choice.
This one's the highest one.
Yes. So if this is smack dab in the middle of a B, right, and this is close to it, and these are further away, then these would probably give me something that's not a B, right? Y'all pick one.
Okay.
All right, plug in K for me. 344 plus 196, then divide it by 6. What'd you get? So what's our answer? Very good. Does that make sense? That one was kind of tough. But if you see a page like this on the ACT, and you know this question is like 4 pages long, skip this one. Work these first, the shorter ones, then come back to that. Okay? And I think he already talked about, try this on the ACT next time, working out a whole page, circling your answers, then go back and bubble them in. I didn't even think about that. That was a good point.
Because the person that was in my room, she was like, make sure you don't write in your textbook quick. And
No, you can write in it.
I was like, well, I'm going to do a little small doodle.
Oh, don't do that next time. Yeah, you can write in your booklet.
I'll leave it.
Are all of y'all taking it in April? Make sure you ask for your math. Make sure you ask for it back. You just pay $10 extra because that way we can help you more. Because these questions, like y'all have said, we repeated them because we struggle finding actual questions off the ACT. They're hard to get. They don't want to give us any information. So make sure you ask for that back so we can have more practice problems. All right, number 6. Which of the following expressions is equivalent? That just means what? Equal to this. Do we have to use math skills, back solve, or plug in? Yes, you have to. You can't back solve. You can't plug these in. You have to use math skills. All right, so what do we do first here? Yeah. Let me point out, this is like 4 different terms, and this is one term, right? All our answers are one term. So all they're asking us to do here is really do what? Simplify. Just clean it up. That's how we get from all of these terms to just one term. If they're the same, it's just simplifying this. So she said find a common denominator. For what? Almost. And I'm going to save you some time. We need to find a common denominator here on top. But what can we do for the bottom? Use your handy-dandy calculator. Everybody has a fraction button. Y'all want me to show you where it is? I'm going to borrow yours, Alicia.
I don't know how to use it on this.
I know that's not borrowing yours. Okay. Let me try to zoom out. All you need to type in is in parentheses, make sure it's in parentheses, 2 divided by 3 minus 1 divided by 4. Hit enter. And now we can't have a decimal, but how do we change this to a fraction? Just hit the math button. It's right here. And there's the fraction button. Hit enter, enter. So instead of spending time finding a common denominator, just type it in, hit math, hit enter. Why can't we do that for the top one? Because there's an X. Good. So the bottom we know is going to be what? 5 over 12. Let me zoom in. Now on top here, the common denominator would be what? Good. So when I change this to a 6, that means I had to multiply this fraction by 2, so the top would be, here the top would become, very good. That's right. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. So up top, can I add these 2 fractions? I can? Over. Good. I can't add the 2x and the 3 because one's a letter, one's a number. But I can write them both over the same denominator. Now I have divided by 5 over 12. How do I divide fractions? Yes. Keep, change, flip, or I always put KFC because I like chicken. So keep, flip, change. What are we going to keep here? Yes. 2x plus 3 over 6. What are we going to flip? Good. Flip in the bottom. What do I change? Good. Alright, before I multiply these, I could do what? Simplify what? Good, so I can make this A and this A. So on top I would have over 5, which is D. Questions on that one? Now, if you are strictly in geometry, you're just in geometry, you are. Y'all probably haven't covered this. This is what you cover in aptitude trig, right? We just got done with this a little while ago. So don't freak out if you didn't know how to do this one. You'll be ahead in your class next year. All right, next one, number 7. What method here? Good. We could use math skills, but what would you have to do if we use math skills? Substitution or elimination, or what did you say? Yeah, you could use matrices also. So you could do this a bunch of different ways. You could even graph them. You could solve for like x in each one, set them equal to each other, and solve that way. But the quickest way for me, I felt like on this one, is what? Plug in. Tell me one you would plug in first.
I just started with A because the middle C has a decimal and I was like,
Okay.
so I just did it.
So let's plug in A, like she said. What would I plug in negative 6 for? X. What would I plug in for Y? So does negative 6 plus 8 equal 2? Yes. Could I stop there? No, you have to plug it into both. Because what does it mean to be a solution to both equations? That's where they cross on a coordinate plane, so it has to work for both. So in this one, when I plug in 6, I get negative 2 times negative 6 plus 4 equals 16. Does 12 plus 4 equal 16? Yeah, I'm done. And you could actually, you don't have to write this out on the test. You could plug this in your calculator or even in your head. So don't feel like you have to show work on each one. I'm just doing it to show you.
Well, I did math school because they all have a different like x and y values. So if I had like, if I did y, if I solved for y and I got like a, then I knew that was right because none of the other ones had 4.
Yeah, somebody else did that. JL did that. Yeah, what she did was, you did elimination or substitution? Elimination, what you could do here, and then solve for one of the variables, and one of them would be one of these. Very good. Any other questions on this one? Okay. The next section that we're working on is integrating essential skills, and y'all just correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't taken the ACT in a while. Y'all know I'm old. Some of y'all think I'm older than what I am. Was it y'all's class? I was like, how old do y'all think I am now? They were like 30-something. I'm like, no. Anyways, thank you. Thank you. Okay. We are working 1 through 8 in this class. And go ahead and do 1 through 4. We'll spend 4 minutes on it. And then I want to talk to y'all about these type of problems.